Hello, I'm here today to provide you with a brief introduction to my piece of Australian coastal wonder. Here is a slide with my details. If you have any questions or ideas, please feel free to contact me on LinkedIn or send me an email. The Coorong is the estuary of the River Murray in South Australia. The Lakes and Coorong Wetland Complex is Australia's largest wave-dominated estuary and is the traditional lands or rui of the Narrandjri, the people. The Coorong itself is 90 miles of interconnected coastal lagoons, connected to the sea via a very small mouth at the northern end. The South Lagoon is the most distant lagoon from the mouth. The South Lagoon is connected to the North Lagoon by a single channel just 127 yards wide. However, the lagoon itself is 32 miles long and presently looks like the images here. My last 2 years have been spent combing through historic records, trying to determine how this place functioned at different points of time and how it has come to be like this. The wetlands to the south of the Coorong were colonised in the 1840s, during a period of exceptionally dry weather. By 1860, normal rains had resumed and demands were made for government drains and banks, which started construction a few short years later. There are now over 1,600 miles of government-operated drains. It was and continues to be one of the largest engineering projects ever undertaken in South Australia. The duration of this project and the successive constant changes has made identifying how much water used to run into the Coorong from the southern wetlands rather challenging. However, conservative estimates suggest that a contribution of 350 to 600 gigalitres per annum was the most likely range, with current flows now less than 50. The decrease in River Murray flows is also stark. Prior to 1903, flows through the Murray mouth averaged 1,400 gigalitres per year, while they are now less than a seventh of that. Decreased riverine flows have also resulted in infilling of the mouth, reducing seawater interchange. Water quality data from 1950 to now has provided useful insights into which alterations have driven which changes in the South Lagoon. Most lines of evidence from the 1850s to 1950s suggest that the South Lagoon had a highly variable salinity which fluctuated from half seawater to twice seawater salinity. This same water body now spends extended periods of time at more than twice seawater salinity. A comparison of 3 major ions within the South Lagoon water, using 2 datasets 40 years apart, shows a clear shift towards a system influenced by sulfate cycling, rather than the historic system which appeared to be strongly influenced by the carbonate cycle. This interpretation of historic water quality data is backed up by the accounts of biota in the South Lagoon. While declines in aquatic South Lagoon habitats were observed as early as 1907, it was the 1960s when concerns regarding declining habitat values in this area started attracting significant attention. This slide is a visual reconstruction of what this area looked like in the early years of European colonisation. The aquatic habitats present over this earlier period were quite different to what we see now. The sediments were generally firmer and calcium-rich, high in organic matter from the decay of stonewort and perennial species of rupia. The aquatic areas were dominated by stonewort and calcium weed forests, often growing so fast that they would generate up to 400 grams per square metre of carbonate sediments per year. The stonewort was an excellent habitat and food source for fish and birds. It was also one of the first things to decline. One of the largest black bream fisheries in Australia operated from the tiny hamlet of Salt Creek at the southern end of the South Lagoon. All of these issues and trends discussed today may look complicated, but they tie together as shown in this diagram, with lower order impacts driving changes to higher order variables.